In 2011, 46 teams from across the globe submitted proposals to compete in the U.S. Department of Energy's 2013 Solar Decathlon. Only 20 were chosen, only one takes the gold. 20 collegiate teams will design and build an actual house. The catch, the house must create all its own energy. That's net zero. Watch now and follow the 4 California teams as they create new technologies, struggle against extensive regulations, meet strict budget requirements, and build a net zero house that can make or break their careers and may even provide solutions for our country's energy problems on Powerhouses. Let's meet the 4 California teams. The University of Southern California. Located in the heart of Los Angeles, this powerhouse school is most known for its extremely supportive alumni, which offers this team virtually unlimited resources. However, the competition rules level the playing field by requiring a very modest budget. This team's going to have to be smart with their money if they want to win.
Team USC is hardworking, open-minded, and flexible.
The Southern California Institute of Architecture and California Institute of Technology. That's right, this team is comprised of 2 schools and they work well together. This is the second time in the competition and the first time they scored high. Caltech is located in Pasadena and the house is being built on SciArc's campus in downtown Los Angeles.
3 words to describe our team are energetic, diverse, and courageous.
Stanford University. In the eyes of the American people, this university is ranked number 2 in prestige, coming right behind Harvard. Located in the Silicon Valley, this first-time competitor is an efficient machine with almost as many females swinging the hammers as males.
3 words I would use to describe the personality of the Stanford team is crazy, smart, and reliable.
University of Santa Clara. The only all-undergraduate team, this Jesuit school is located in the Silicon Valley. But the youngest team also brings the most experience to the contest as these veterans are competing for the 3rd time.
3 words to describe Santa Clara University's Solar Decathlon team are dedicated, energetic, and fun-loving.
And now, it's time to meet these teams in person and find out about their projects.
Our house is called DALE. It's an acronym that stands for Dynamic Augmented Living Environment. Dynamic because not only the modules move, the canopies move, the interior of the house moves. Dynamic, augmented because obviously it grows. Living environment because we want this potentially be a prototype for someone to live in. It's a little play on words and a little play on chip, which happened in 2011, so the Chip and Dale joke, and it worked out well for us. So it also, I think Dale is a little bit more personable, having a male name associated with it. People tend to like it a little bit more. It almost turns into a mascot. So we try to keep it as jovial and fun and exciting as we possibly can.
The name of this house is Radiant House, and it's that for a few reasons. The first being that the house radiates outward through our modules to really invite people in. The second one being our outreach program. We really pride ourselves on how much we outreach into the community and we radiate out to them. And the third one, the most obvious, is we have a radiant heating and cooling system.
So our Solar Decathlon project for 2013 is called Flux Home. And the reason it's called Flux Home is because it's basically flexible living. We have large skylights, we have openings and porches. So if you're in a summer afternoon, West Greater Bay, California, it's very low humidity and we have prevailing breezes since we're a coastal city in Orange County. Therefore, if you open up all the windows, you'll get natural ventilation, reducing the mechanical load. We have basically 9 modular units within the house that you can move around. We have a living pod, a bathing pod, a living pod, and basically a flexible pod.
So we call our project Start Home. And in some senses, that's supposed to connote kind of the startup feel of the Silicon Valley. We really are bringing that as our first time as a competitor. So it's kind of like a startup. And the core, if you think about it, is really could be the whole future of homes. But then a lot of people, when we talk to them about the project, and then we tell them their name, they mistaken it for smart home. It's like, oh, you're making a smart home. And we say, no, that's not true. We're not making a smart home. We're trying to create smart people. And so the start, in a way, is really about action. It's about getting people to start a new lifestyle and to say that, I'm going to get this new home, but it's not that the home is just going to start doing things for me. I have a little bit of change I need to make in my lifestyle to actually become more sustainable, more environmentally conscious. So the start is all about creating an active lifestyle in which you become more aware of your energy efficiency.
Bright young minds, great ideas, nice drawings. When we come back, we'll see what happens when these young idealists trade in their thinking caps for a hard hat and get a little dose of construction reality.
Yeah, I just picked her up. We should be there in 20 minutes.
Who is it? Oh, it's him. Where is he?
I know. Yeah, I know.
Did you vote in the last election? I know I would have. I'd want my voice to be heard. You see, the only way your ideas can count is for our elected officials to hear from you. My dad says it's easy. Just learn about the process and vote. So you have all this power to really make a difference. And you didn't take time to vote? Am I missing something?
Learn how to make your ideas count by logging on to www.representative-democracy.org.
Welcome back to Powerhouses. The 4 California teams competing in the 2013 U.S. Department of Energy's Solar Decathlon have been designing for over a year. Now, they're about to see what happens on the construction site as some of the materials start to materialize and some don't.
Deliverables, we've noticed that, especially in that first 2 weeks of construction, every single thing we wanted delivered was late. And we said, this is ridiculous, but apparently that's just the way it is in industry. So we were telling people, like, the crane is here an hour late, and then we wanted this delivery, and that was 2 hours late, so we had to keep them over time for 3 or 4 hours, and so people said, that's just what happens in industry. And that's something we had to learn firsthand.
Like any construction project, there are concerns that we all endure. We have many problems that we run into. For example, what you draw on the computer doesn't happen in real life. In the computer, walls fit perfectly next to each other, but we have different sets of drawings. We have a bolt layout, we have a joist layout, and we have a pier layout. And what we realized we didn't do was we never cross-referenced the different plans. So when we came to the site to put down the individual components, we saw a lot of clashes. With those clashes, it did set us back a few days, but you roll with the punches.
While many schools have fallen victim to scheduling problems, SciArc Caltech are on the verge of making Solar Decathlon history.
We had about 5 different iterations that were basically proposed, and it came down to 2. One, which was another inflatable house, which was similar to the precedent, and a moving house, which is Dale. At the end, it came down to 1 vote, and Dale won, so we decided to go with the moving house.
You heard right, a moving house. This team designed a 3-module house built on rails that moves to reconfigure the space. But that house won't see the light of day in this contest.
Part of the competition is this affordability contest, and so we've been attempting to make our house do well in that contest, and it's a challenge. We've got all this equipment that you wouldn't normally find in a house, and we've done our best to keep costs down, but there still are issues with that, and so we decided to cut 1 module to bring the cost down.
Us as students, this is our first time that we actually have to consider budget, schedule, materials, lead times, all these things, and because we want to have a higher level of design, we actually have to go through a pretty significant value engineering phase, which we actually cut out a 3rd module that's not here right now. But we actually had 2 modules run very well with the design. We think it's actually better than the 3-module scheme. So besides that, it's been relatively smooth.
Let's never speak of this third module again. Meanwhile, 344 miles to the north, SCI-Arc's former competitor is once again focused on the use of what they believe is the most sustainable building material on Earth.
So Santa Clara has been really interested in bamboo for probably over a decade now. Bamboo is super sustainable, grows really fast, it's stronger and lighter than steel. So for all intents and purposes, it is the perfect building material. The problem with it is the geometry. So it's round and frequently is hollow, which makes it, and it splinters if you try and nail it. So we've spent the last 10 years as a school trying to figure out how to utilize it, how to make it work.
Of course, you don't run down to the Santa Clara building supply store and load up with enough bamboo to build a house. For that, you have to go to Vietnam.
We had a full shipping container packed with bamboo, 1,000 square foot house worth of bamboo. We were hoping to get that about 6 weeks ago now, I suppose it was, maybe longer. It was a few weeks late in arriving here, and then with kind of everything that was going on at the time.
Their bamboo was in port on time. But tragedy struck 3,000 miles away. The Boston Marathon bombing tightened security in every port in America.
Got stuck in the port, passing customs for a while. We had to fumigate it a second time, even though it had already been fumigated, checking for bugs or anything like that.
We wanted to have the steel for the house and all the bamboo at least here and working on spring break. Steel got here 3 weeks ago, and bamboo got here 2 weeks ago, so a month behind schedule. So we started out a month behind schedule, so that's kind of scary. It kind of ate up all of our buffer time.
As Santa Clara tries to figure out how to make up more than a month worth of wasted time, Stanford is exploding out of the gates.
We started in mid-March, so we're about 2 months into the process. It was the first 2 weeks was actually finals week and spring break. But we got together, we had about 15 students. We had 5 carpenter mentors here from the United Brotherhood of Carpenters. And so for a good 2 weeks, we were really pushing and we got most of the structure up. But then after that, spring quarter started. Every single student is not only trying to do construction, but they're trying to take classes as well. They're trying to graduate. And it's almost like 2 full-time jobs. Right now, we are about 3 or 4 weeks behind schedule.
Stanford's discovered just how hard it is to find good help these days. After 2 years of planning, it seems change is the only constant. And while most teams are still tweaking their projects, USC just needs to figure out one small detail. What will their house look like?
So we're starting out with green walls that oxygenate the air and filter the air that goes into the house, and also adds an aesthetic quality to the house and a unique identity since we have green walls at each of the porch. Well, with the skin, we're trying to accomplish, I would say the biggest thing is to give the house a unique identity, and it performs as a rain screen, which there's an air gap between the skin of the house and the exterior walls of the let's say the mass of the house, which reduces the heat gain, and it also increases the R value of the exterior membrane of the house.
So with a looming deadline, a decision needs to be made. Remember, these houses will be viewed next to 19 other net zero homes, all made by dedicated, talented teams from around the world. If USC wants a legitimate shot at the gold, they've got to achieve a strong visual impact.
Well, one of the main reasons the facade keeps changing is just budget restriction, and really it's not so much affordability, but the feasibility of not only installing it and fabricating, but also the lead time in order to get these things delivered to us. Basically, it all keeps changing.
So, while USC is weighing their options, their crosstown rivals need to find an option that can move a lot of weight. They need to find a machine that can move a house.
Some challenges with the end trucks, actually. The end trucks are what actually move the house. They're the motors. They're from cranes. That's what they're normally used on. to move gantry cranes, and so we're repurposing them to move our house. But we've had some issues actually getting them with the company that we'd been working with.
Yeah, hi. My name's Aaron. I'm on hold for the specs and drawings for the end trucks. Yeah, thanks.
Without the machinery and the accurate specifications for that machinery, these engineers are stopped in their tracks. If there's anybody who doesn't want surprises at this point, it's Santa Clara.
We were expecting solid section bamboo culms, but what we ended up getting was culms with hollow spaces in the middle.
Remember that University of Santa Clara's goal is to build the entire house out of bamboo, a feat that's never been attempted. These bamboo I-joists are holding up the floor, and they obviously have to meet industry regulations. Receiving the wrong material is seriously putting their objective in jeopardy.
We are just waiting on testing. So if they don't pass, then we got to scrap them and go to dimension regular lumber. So I really hope they pass tests.
When you bring together some of our country's brightest young minds to look at all angles of energy consumption in houses, you're going to see some things that would never have occurred to you. All these teams are constantly experimenting on their houses. But it seems like Stanford is actually experimenting on people.
I'm a behavioral economist. That's my, educational background, which means I basically study how people behave in ways that aren't in their best interest. The reason why my team's called interaction design is because we looked at points in the house where people are interacting with the energy system, basically making decisions about energy use. So light switches, thermostats, things of this sort. And we decided we're going to look at those, shake them up, re-examine them, and design and build new ones.
With only a few months to go, Stanford's still planning to outthink GE. But at what cost? For every design team, there's an engineering team that must bring these ideas to fruition.
The interaction team has done a lot of really good work into trying to design what the room switches should really feel, really look like, right? But those changes often, they leak back into our hardware design, and we have to maybe throw out an entire design and start from scratch. But there was at least a week or two worth of design, a week or two and a quarter is really a significant amount. Designed into this round thing that, all of a sudden, we're not going to use the round one anymore, so we've got to go redesign for a square.
While Stanford designers staunchly reserve their prerogative to change their minds, it seems that USC is really in some hot water, and they like it.
Whenever you step into your shower, you should be able to reach in, adjust the temperature however you want it right there instantly, and you'll automatically feel hot water versus turning it on, walking away for a few minutes, coming back. On-demand hot water is actually water circulating through your solar heating coil on the roof that goes into the tank, and then that water heats up the tank and it circulates through your spouts through the system of the house, and then it'll come back to the water tank and heat it up and get back to that faucet as quickly as it can. That way the water circulating is close to 110 Fahrenheit degrees.
So in addition to an already beefed up hot water system, the on-demand system further reduces waste and bolsters convenience. But there's only one problem. They don't have one.
We don't have what we need now. Hopefully within the next few weeks we'll get some things rolling with the on-demand water and get that installed with our plumbing as it's been started within the next week or so.
So as USC stares reality in the face with a healthy dose of optimism, SciArt Caltech grabs the face of an optimistic reality star.
Well, being in Southern California and being in LA specifically, I think we have to take advantage of that. And we're trying to get people that are as enthusiastic about green building as we are. And when we heard that Ed Begley was obviously a huge advocate and a huge environmentalist, we said, let's see what we can do, and he's as excited about it as we are, so let's combine forces.
Ed Begley Jr. is a Hollywood stalwart. He appears constantly in film and television and has his entire career. He's also known as the Mac Daddy of all things sustainable.
And we're actually trying to reach out to more celebrities as well and trying to just put our word out there, so it's exciting that he's here. It's wonderful.
Having celebrities endorse your project because they believe in it is way cool. But there's nothing cool about having designed a structural element using solid stalks of bamboo and receiving hollow stalks with no time to return them. If these don't work, this puts the entire concept of the Santa Clara team in doubt.
We had developed these beams, the design, for the last year or so, and did all the tests to make sure they were strong enough.
So the question is, will the old design still meet the structural requirements now that the team is forced to use hollow bamboo stalks? Well, by their calculations, they decided to move forward and try it.
Now that they're finally going into the house, we need to take a sample of those and prove basically that they're as strong as we thought they were.
And now the moment of truth has arrived. It's time to hit the testing lab.
So this is our Tinius Olson 400 kip hydraulic testing machine, and we're going to use that to basically provide 2 downward point loads and crush the beam. Well, actually we won't be crushing the beam in these tests. We'll only take it to 150% of the load. Hopefully they won't be destroyed in the process. 1,000. 1,600 or 1,400.
Hi, I'm Ed Begley Jr. Imagine touring 20 solar-powered and energy-efficient houses designed by teams of collegiate students from schools across the nation and around the world. Interested? Mark your calendars for the U.S. Department of Energy Solar Decathlon 2013 and Expo, a Clean Energy Exposition. This free public event takes place at the Orange County Great Park in Irvine over 2 long weekends beginning October 3rd. Visit solardecathlon.gov or the-xpo.org for more information.
Are you tired of wasting time on congested freeways, adding even more stress to your everyday life? Then it's time for less stress and more iShuttle. The iShuttle is a convenient and affordable bus shuttle that transports commuters from the Tustin Metrolink station to different destinations throughout the city of Irvine, including businesses along Jamboree Road and Von Karman Avenue, John Wayne Airport, and OCTA bus stops. Many Irvine residents and those who commute into the city are simplifying their commutes and saving money by using the Metrolink train and iShuttle service to get to work. Rick Stable takes the Metrolink from Corona to Irvine every working day, and his life would be very different if he had to drive the freeway every day.
It would be real stressful. It's 23 miles on the 91 and the 5 and the 55, so it's tough.
Once he arrives at the Tustin Metrolink station, he jumps on the iShuttle.
It's very convenient, very convenient. They're always on time.
Thanks to the iShuttle, many commuters are taking public transportation to get to and from work, leaving their cars at home, saving money on gas, and having a positive impact on the environment.
Well, I travel all the way to Los Angeles, downtown LA, Union Station. It just gets me to where I need to go at the right time, and it gets me to work on time. Well, I really like the free time, the time it gives you to read, to take a nap, catch up on your rest. Provides me sort of a cheap way to travel to the Metrolink and from there, to work.
For commuters, arriving to their destination on time can be a challenge due to the unpredictability of freeway conditions. One broken down car can make you an hour late for work. But the iShuttle will always get you there on time. The iShuttle connects to every morning and afternoon Metrolink train leaving the Tustin station.
And it runs at different times, so it gives me different options, so that I can arrive to work on time.
Riding the iShuttle is easy, reliable, affordable, and convenient. After work, just look for a bus stop that has the iShuttle logo, and a shuttle will be passing by to pick you up and take you to the Tustin Metrolink station or John Wayne Airport.
You get off the train and it's waiting for you. There's no standing around, nothing. You just get on the shuttle, off you go. It couldn't be any more efficient.
As Rick Stable says, once you ride the Metrolink train and iShuttle, it can change the way you get to and from work.
I feel like I'm contributing to sort of the green effort. I would not do this without the iShuttle and Metrolink. I wouldn't drive it.
Give the iShuttle a chance to improve your commute. Learn how you can try the Metrolink and iShuttle for free by visiting our website at www.irvineshuttle.net or call us at 949-72-GO-BUS.
Welcome back to Powerhouses. As time ticks away, each team has its own set of problems. And right now, Santa Clara University has got to get their homemade bamboo I-joists to pass code if they want to put them in their house. This beam crushing machine is exerting downward force, and the beam needs to hold 2,100 pounds of pressure. We're only at 1,400 when
1,600 or 1,400. Immediately you think, oh gosh, that's probably the biscuit joint, the weak part in our beam that, will probably end up failing.
But when he looks at the digital readout, everything looks fine. Turns out it was just the shims used to level the beam in the testing that were cracking.
All right. Well, I'm just really relieved that everything passed and performed the way that we hoped it would.
So SCU has successfully engineered the very first bamboo floor I-joist to meet regulatory requirements in the United States. And those beams will go into the house this same day. Just a few miles away at Stanford University, the design team has just handed the controls engineering team a tall order. The design team had recently changed from a round-shaped component to a square, which means the entire guts have to be re-engineered. Engineering now has less than 10 weeks to deliver a built-from-scratch control unit unlike anything that even exists today.
I think what we really found was that this idea of this pod, this way of basically aggregating control for a particular room and simplifying the connection back to the core, had these properties of like factory manufacturability and modularization that really kind of echoes the kinds of design choices we made in the core.
The good news is he likes the concept. The bad news is he's still got to build it. And so while the Interaction design team continues to experiment with exactly what we'll see on the wall of the house, Colin can at least make sure the guts will work when they figure it out.
What we really focused on was basically the hardware that goes into this pod. You have to imagine that this pod needs to provide control for our lights, windows, shades, HVAC. So this one board here is actually what's going to go into the pod, and it's basically the heart of the pod. And this entire system is controlled over the network. So here we have a situation where, let's say, we want to be able to turn on the lights.
In a nutshell, it seems as though this device is going to perform beautifully, whatever physical form it eventually embodies. Over the valley and past Hollywood, the only team that seemingly is on schedule is anticipating a big problem that will be hanging over their heads. Literally.
So the canopy is important because our house is a house that changes and adapts to your dynamic lifestyle. So our canopies are really designed to take advantage of the Southern California environment. So it gives you the ability to shade your house at any given time of day.
So Dale is slated to be a convertible. According to SCIARC Caltech, the competition's rules state that they have to use hardware that already exists. Custom fabrication is a no-no.
Hi, this is Nicole calling from SCIARC from the Solar Decathlon.
After a lengthy search, they discovered a manufacturer in Colorado that makes giant dual sliders that would work for their canopy. But the lead time was 5 months. So now, with 4 more weeks till their arrival, they want to make sure they cover their assets.
Since this is the first time that we're using this in a residential application, we needed to make a mock-up in order to make sure that all of our connections were correct, all the details, all the welds were exact. And also one of the problems and issues that we're trying to tackle is the size of this thing. As you can tell, this is only a 2-foot component. Our actual thing is going to be 10 feet. So once that comes in 3 weeks, that's a whole different issue that we're going to have to solve.
In Southern California, Team USC's plan was to use a thermal collector coupled with an on-demand system for ultimate efficiency in the hot water contest. Last we heard, they were looking for a sponsor to donate the hardware for that system.
Well, since you were last here, we met with a few engineers from the leading energy companies around the area, and we've been discussing our solar hot water heaters. The on-demand hot water was a priority last time, and we've kind of pushed that aside because we actually have 3 other systems in place already.
The hot water system is on site and ready to flow. So let's check in on the decision-making process for the skin of the house. 1 month previous, the team still didn't know what the outside of their house would look like. But today,
We're a bit closer to our decision now, but we're still trying out different options. And since it's such an important part of the image of the house, we want to be thorough and try as many options as we can. But we're nearing the point where we have to make a choice and just go with it.
With the Flux Home skin still in flux, this team is playing it cool. Even deadlines don't seem to get under their skin. However, there is a black substance painted under the skin of the house, or at least where it will be.
We're using the Cat 5 weatherproofing instead of Tyvek wrap because this is UV resistant, and since our skin system might expose this membrane, then we needed it to be UV resistant.
You know that caricature of the engineer hunched over a computer screen for so long he loses track of time? This is that guy. He worked until the wee hours the night before and was back at it at 7 a.m. this morning.
Today I'm doing some general maintenance on the control system. Right now I'm working on getting the blinds to open and close by sending a command through the computer. So if I send a 0 from the keyboard, the blinds will stay closed. If I send a 1, the blinds will open up. Let's find out if it works. Nope. No luck that time.
It doesn't take him long, and he's ready again for another test.
Well, it didn't do what I wanted it to do, but it moved, so I'm happy. It's progress. It's got a little more work ahead of me until I can get it to actually behave.
And so it's back to the keyboard for Richard. Hours later, in the same seat, in the same clothes, armed only with coffee and optimism, Richard thinks he's broken the code.
So I'm gonna tell the blinds to open. They should open. Hey, there we go. Let's close them up again. Yes. Okay, and then I want to see if this one works too. This should open it. This should open them halfway. Yep. I'm happy. All right. Progress.
It appears Radiant House visitors will not be blinded by unwanted streaming daylight. Now they just have to figure out how to turn on the room lights. Stanford's recurring issue is typical to most small entities. They are plagued by the same ill as small businesses everywhere: finding good manpower and keeping them.
We started plumbing back in spring quarter, I think about a month and a half ago. We had 2 students, they decided to take up the plumbing. So you can see here all these pipes behind us. They basically took that from scratch. Unfortunately, they're not here anymore because they got jobs in their prospective hometowns. But I'm sad, I'm frustrated that they're gone because you know, it's plumbing is complicated. You know, like I don't know what all this means, and you know, and we need someone to finish it up. So that's going to be me probably.
Well, this isn't the first time one man has been asked to do the job of 2. What's most important is skill and experience.
I have no experience in plumbing.
Like I said, what's most important is dedication and determination.
The only experience I have in plumbing is watching what Nick and Pablo, the 2 guys who were working on it before, what they did last spring.
With inspectors coming to sign off on the plumbing and a looming deadline for the walls to be closed up by drywall, this has to get done.
And we are on basically gotta get it done by next week, so it'll happen though, one way or another.
While Stanford is giving plumbing the old college try, Syark Caltech is basking in the rays of their early public relations efforts.
We've been doing really well since the media day where Ed Begley Jr. came out. We've had actually publications reach out to us, which has been fantastic. Our Facebook likes have almost doubled. Our main goal is to get both Dale out there and obviously the Solar Decathlon, so we have a lot of people attending the event in October.
While they're getting lots of online visits, they need to start planning for their in-house visits. One of the contests in the Solar Decathlon requires each team to host a dinner party / movie night for 8 people.
Dale is going to succeed in the entertainment contest because we have decided to use the projector screen so we have a massive entertainment value. For both of the dinner parties, we're doing a California-themed menu where everybody kind of gets to know everyone as opposed to just a typical serve you dinner and, you know, more relaxed atmosphere.
Speaking of creating atmosphere, you may wonder, how will these houses be furnished? Well, some of it will be bought, and some of it will be made.
For the Solar Decathlon, we're using the CNC machine primarily to do cabinet studies, so surfaces for the cabinet doors or furniture studies. It's important because you start to manipulate the feel of that space. You create an atmospheric effect by changing the surface, if the surface has color, if it has shadow. By doing that to the cabinet doors, you're making it do two functions, hide your dishes and create a piece of art.
Now, you may recall that Santa Clara University had intended to make their entire house out of bamboo, including the furniture. So far, they've succeeded in getting the I-joists for the floors and ceilings passed and in the house.
We originally decided to use bamboo for the structural elements. So in the past 2 houses that Santa Clara has actually designed, we've used bamboo elements, and this time we actually wanted to use shear walls, gravity, and I-joists made out of bamboo.
Essentially, they wanted to use the least amount of processed materials possible. They wanted to make the entire house from what they believe is the most sustainable building material in the world. But this will not be the year of the shear for SCU.
We weren't able to use the bamboo shear walls because we didn't have proper testing for the shear walls this time. We had tested plenty of models, but none of them were able to be substituted in for the timber.
So while they passed another hallmark by using floor joists and some gravity walls, they had to use way more traditional timber than they wanted.
I'm a little upset we weren't able to follow through with as much of the bamboo as we wanted, but at least we get to use more elements than we have in the prior years. So I'm pretty excited about that much.
And so, SCU forges forward in double time as they are about a month behind. While just a few miles away, life seems to be getting in the way of the Start Homes progress.
We have focused on the mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems. It's been a little bit slow because everyone has been trying to finish their finals and graduate, including myself. So we've realized that it really takes a full-time commitment to be able to do this effectively. But what we have now, starting this week, is a full team of construction people, of design people, engineers, working almost full-time on the project, so we can really streamline this. In exactly 6 weeks, this space behind me will be a beautiful, sexy, and sleek core that has completed with it appliances, equipment, really beautiful finishes, and it will be saving energy.
That sort of optimism is refreshing. And since we'll be back in exactly 6 weeks to the day, we'll see if it's realistic. Speaking of realistic, how realistic is it to build a moving house that's solar powered? After a long, long wait for the gantry crane motors, the day has finally arrived when the team gets to see firsthand exactly what it takes to move a house. It's time for the test.
We are moving!
But that euphoria is short-lived. After moving only 6 inches, something binds up.
I didn't stop it, but it's not moving. So right at that moment when the house stops, we're thinking, oh man, this is not gonna work. We've just spent all this time and things aren't happening. Luckily, that only lasted for a split second before it actually righted itself and kept going. There it goes. Now it's alert.
Whoa, it's cruising.
I had to turn it up a little bit to get it over that hump.
And so we have the baby's first step. Let's fast forward to the next big phase. Can they get the other one to move as well?
So we know the first module works, and we spent the morning wiring up this one. So now we're gonna test it out and see if it works too. And it does.
That Caltech engineering team almost makes it look easy. But their biggest challenge is still ahead. Can they get both modules to move precisely using only the power of the sun? Across town, USC is also anxious to get off the grid. They were scheduled to put up their solar panels last week.
About 2 days before we were actually about to do the actual installation for the railing. Just kind of going through the linear feet that we needed, and we actually had enough, but then I was talking to Jim from Run On Sun, who's been helping us with our electrical, solar, and installation for the Unirac, and he's telling me we have to cut them on every 16 feet.
And cut they did. When they ordered the rails, they couldn't foresee how the connection of the rails would be affected by the locations of vents, drains, and a large skylight. Jim comes to the site to help with the installation.
Man, you got 239 and a half, bro. Not enough. Not enough.
The team got some bad intel. They thought they had to leave room around the vent pipe.
I'm trying to think of what goes on this.
Nothing, that's just a vent pipe.
It's just open?
Yep. We got room for another inch. That wouldn't interfere with anybody. We just need the rail.
So, you're talking about splicing, but then we'd have to...
You just get another rail.
Poor Chris can't believe his ears. The solar installation has already been pushed back now 3 weeks. And now he's hearing the team has to order yet another set of rails. There's got to be another way to get one, and quick.
I don't know anybody that holds this in SoCal.
Anyone can become a victim of domestic violence. Anyone. We are here to help.
Domestic violence not only affects the abused, it also impacts children and other family members. We are here to help.
There are many local agencies to assist you, including temporary shelters and guidance. We're here to help you.
Call if you need help. You are not alone.
Welcome back to Powerhouses. These teams have only weeks left to complete their projects so they can compete for top honors in the 2013 U.S. Department of Energy Solar Decathlon. And Team USC just found out, after 2 previous mishaps, they need to reorder an integral piece before they can complete their solar panel installation.
You just get another rail.
They've already put off installation for 3 weeks. Waiting another week for delivery will definitely hold up the next stage of construction.
I don't know anybody that holds this in SoCal.
Now the project manager comes up to check out the situation. They remeasure and assess their options.
And I think I have an 11-footer.
Okay, 11, that works perfectly.
Jim saves the day. So Team USC jumps another hurdle and gets by with a little help from their friends. The interior of their house is looking good. House is wired, walls are finished, skylight is working. The exterior, on the other hand, still not quite finished.
So now we're at the third option, which we finalized into this sheet metal siding system. We're still a rain screen system, meaning there's 2 membranes with airflow flowing in between, which helps reduce the heat gain in the house.
And there you have it. But only time can tell whether this final decision will come to fruition. But 3 of these walls will definitely be bearing fruit of one kind or another.
All right, we're standing on our east porch right now where we're installing a living wall right next to our kitchen. This living wall is going to do 3 main things. It's going to oxygenate the air that travels through this porch inside, so it'll purify. It also insulates. Whenever you put it on a wall, it kind of helps the barrier of heat gain between the inside and the outside. And then also aesthetically, it looks nice. You can add a design to it. work with the different types of the plants, and then also you can eat it.
Team USC has taken meal planning to a whole new level.
In the living wall, we're planting herbs that will be used in the meal for the dinner at the competition.
Now, Team Santa Clara has been consistently cool in the face of adversity. So with only a few weeks left till they have to take this house apart and ship it to Irvine, what's a little cease work order to them?
What we usually have done in the past few years is that the house is actually permitted through private inspectors. But this year the city actually decided that they want to permit us for transportation.
The designers want an open feel to Radiant House. The house features high ceilings with no visual obstructions. This seems to be the point of contention for city inspectors.
So right now, one of the things that the city has required is that we actually have to have a hold down placed inside of the outer modules in order to pull in the inner module.
Until they install these hold downs, the city has mandated absolutely no work is to be done on the interior of the house. At least they can work on the inside of the 2009 house. Here, they can practice meal preparation in preparation of their entertainment contest.
So we are preparing a dish for Mexican night. So it's tacos and gazpacho and salsa and guacamole, and then a chocolate cinnamon pudding for dessert.
They have an hour and a half to prepare the meal. This is their second test run, and the clock has already started.
We're kind of making a substitute because we ran out of milk.
The pudding needs time to boil and completely cool, so it's imperative it gets started right away. And the substitution wasn't enough.
It's with the milk. Heavy whipping cream.
And while they wait for their delivery, they get cooking.
55.
But nothing seems to be going quite their way today.
All right, Alex.
The two stay on track despite multiple setbacks, and somehow we get to the testing phase. Alex tries the salsa.
What the hell is this?
What is the salsa?
It's extremely spicy at the end. But like, you don't even taste anything. It's just water.
So the salsa will need some adjusting, but everything else actually came out pretty good. Even the pudding. Just one last adjustment.
We were attempting to make gazpacho for 8 people, and I think this would feed like 3. So definitely need to make a little bit more.
While they might be short on gazpacho, they're certainly not short on personality. Their entertainment night is sure to be entertaining. Now, Team SciArc Caltech has moved a house, but they have to move the house canopy as well. And with an extremely long lead time for these giant heavy-duty sliders, there won't be much time for testing.
The day that they arrived, it was interesting that the shipping company brought them loose without any structure or crates, so all the metal was bent out of shape. And so what we had to do is we had to emergency ship them back to Colorado. They turned it around in a few days, and so everything was sorted out, but it was a little hiccup in the way, so it was a little frightening.
Now, the team has begun preparing the canopy pieces for installation, and according to the team, the next steps will happen quickly.
So you can imagine that those squares right there are welded to this full frame here, giving it a complete U shape. On the vertical faces, we have our louver blades, which give privacy to our house, and on the horizontal canopy, we have our solar panels, which not only provide power, but give us shade.
But remember, this canopy has to move on top of a moving house. Enter the engineers.
So the canopy moves in relationship to the house in 2 ways. First, it moves on either side 10 feet and is able to modulate relative to what the user would like in terms of their spaces they want to create, whether it be a front porch, the mid-yard, or a back porch. And then it also moves in relationship to the house in equal speed. So the canopy movement system is something somewhere between a bike and a tank. It works with a chain drive and a geared rack.
Meanwhile, in a hip little hacker's paradise several miles off the Stanford campus, a group of engineers sits around a table littered with computers and electronic components. They are Stanford's Interaction Design Team, and they want to offer you a different way to turn on your lights.
I guess the key features of the switch, the first one is that it's making it a lot easier to turn everything off. All of the electronic loads in any given room in the house will be really easy to turn completely off at the switch level.
Leaving things plugged in, even when they are off, draws electricity. These switches will give homeowners the ability to stop that waste by, let's say, swiping your hand across a switch, much like you'd use a touchscreen.
We did some user testing on the Stanford campus. We grabbed kids from camps, we grabbed adults, tourists, passerby, and some of the really interesting things is that we had a set list of tasks for them to complete using this switch prototype. And so the hardest thing is making it intuitive. So we have this spectrum of users that we're trying to design for, where we understand that, you know, the least frequent visitors to this house need to at least be able to turn lights on.
But what about the most frequent user? You see, this team doesn't have the luxury of a theoretical design, because in November of 2013, the new residents of this house will be using this switch every day.
I will be what they call the guinea pig.
There are 3 guinea pigs altogether. The family cares for the Jasper Ridge Natural Park, owned by Stanford University, and the team is very excited to have them occupy the house. This family's happiness could very well overshadow the competition itself.
I think what each team has found, though, is that they've created their own story. They've created their own reasons for doing this. Ours, actually, as of pretty recently, we finally found a permanent place for the home. And so after the competition, it's going to come back here to campus. And that's something we've wanted all along, because it's great to create a showpiece house, but we want this to affect people's lives.
I'm very excited about moving into the house. I've been thinking about it nearly every day. We have been needing something other than what we have for a long time. It looked like they were putting a pergola over the deck, which looks like a really nice outdoor space. It, I think, shows the difference between an assignment and doing something for a human being, knowing that we care about where we live and we, have feelings and thoughts, and, that they could probably be putting themselves in our shoes on some way of going, oh, I have to really think about this differently. So, yeah, I think that's really sweet. It's hopeful.
Hi, I'm Ed Begley Jr. Imagine touring 20 solar-powered and energy-efficient houses designed by teams of collegiate students from schools across the nation and around the world. Interested? Mark your calendars for the U.S. Department of Energy Solar Decathlon 2013 and Expo, a clean energy exposition. This free public event takes place at the Orange County Great Park in Irvine over 2 long weekends beginning October 3rd. Visit solardecathlon.gov or the-xpo.org for more information.
You may have just finished your oil change, but you're not done yet. Don't leave used oil around dumpsters or trash cans. It's hazardous and needs to be recycled. That doesn't look like a recycling center to me. Most major auto parts stores are certified collection centers. To be sure that a business does accept used oil, look for this symbol. Most stores will also take your used oil filters. To find a certified collection center near you, please visit earth911.com.
Welcome back to Powerhouses, where all the teams are in the 11th hour. It's almost time for the 4 California teams to compete against 16 other teams from around the world. Each house will be put to the test in 10 different categories to see which design and build is the superior net zero house and will carry home the first place honors in the 2013 Department of Energy's Solar Decathlon.
People should come to see the Start Home in Irvine because it'll be the first time anyone ever is going to be able to see a fully realized core. And you gotta be there to see it.
Of course, they should come visit Flux Home because Flux Home is clearly going to win. They should come and stand in the living room and enjoy the breeze coming through the window walls.
You
should definitely come see our house because our house not only triples in size, it can be reconfigured in so many different ways, and it is the first ever net zero house that moves.
People should come see Radiant House for a couple reasons. The first is to see whether or not we get this house built in time. The second one, and probably the more important one, is to see us pull off using structural bamboo in our house for one of the first times in the United States.
You've seen what these teams go through in order to build these state-of-the-art powerhouses. Now, come see the fruits of their labor firsthand. Maybe even shake the hand of your favorite team member, ask a question, and attend a free energy workshop at the 2013 Solar Decathlon and Expo at the Orange County Great Park in Irvine.
Come see the Start Home at the Solar Village.
Come visit us at Flex Home in the center of all the houses on the north side of the Solar Village.
Come see Dale. We're located on the northeast corner of the Solar Village, so it'll be easy to spot us.
We want you guys to come see Radiant House in the Solar Village. We will be the second house on the right.
You can attend the 2013 Solar Decathlon and Expo October 3rd through 6th and the 10th through the 13th. Visit solardecathlon.gov and the-xpo.org.
It only takes 0.03 kilowatts to move this house 20 feet, which is the same amount of power it takes to charge 2 cell phones.